Just tapping in for a simple message. It's a reminder about repetition, basically how most of the growth, what I'm saying, mainly is about repetition of the basics. And this is not necessarily a Mercury retrograde video or any of that, what I'm saying? But it ties into Mercury because Mercury energy, and I notice how this operates internally, like my internal Mercury or internal Gemini energy. It has an energy, and this also taps into the moon, and you see why the moon and Mercury, but basically all the planets in essence are like, different expressions of one being. But how the moon and Mercury, though, the moon is what? It goes through different signs within 30 days. The moon made it through all the different signs, and also Mercury is a fast moving planet as well, and it represents quick movement going from one thing to the next. And that's also why the trickster archetype in psychology, you know what I'm saying, and again, and internally, that trickster energy is the energy of not being able to follow through or finish one subject matter, or to start on something and completely finish it. It's like, all right, on to the next, instead of like coming back and repeating. And sometimes when that energy pops up, it almost feel like, like almost like having to fight with something, what I'm saying, to follow through and stay on the same subject, to complete something. But again, that's that Mercury moon energy. Again, Kansu, I done did that video, Kansu, Jehudi, all interconnected, what I'm saying? But it's just maintaining the repetition of the basics and just maintaining repetition, in general, but again, in healthy manners, not repetition of toxic cycles, of course, because that's how the language goes and the parody of it, fully explaining, repetition of, the basic healthy habits, and, constantly reminding yourself also of, how things started for yourself. And what I'm getting at with that is like thinking about the word imperfect movement comes up, like I feel like sometimes we could get into this space of like everything has to be perfect in order for me to take action. Like I gotta wait till the perfect moment to do this. And again, like with the reminder from myself, it's like, bro, your whole YouTube channel, that helps a lot of people, that helped a lot of people, proven to help, started with you acting from where you were, you know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, like I laughed, I was like, the squeaky chair and BR, you know what I'm saying? Without the perfect camera, without any type of studio, you know what I'm saying? I basically had to just, bam, jump right into it, you know what I'm saying? And again, like that Mercury energy, and no coincidence that Mercury rules over technology, you know what I'm saying, where Mercury basically when Mercury retrograde, and it's like, oh, check out the technology, your phone might start tripping, this and that. But what I'm getting at is Mercury quick moving on to the next one, and no coincidence that technology subtly programs everybody, or social engineers everybody into looking for the quick fix, you know what I'm saying? Like again, coming from that generation where we had the dial-up internet, you had to be patient, had to be patient and wait for the little and all that to go on before you could even connect to the internet, but the way technology has, grown over the years, or evolved over the years, with us interacting with it, and it becoming more fast-paced, it subtly programs us to want things like microwave, fast-paced, and it's a balance, because we are in this realm, in these moments, and we're looking to help people who are addicted to that fast-paced nature. We dive in to that energy in essence by, making social media posts, YouTube videos, and doing these things. And hence why we have to stay grounded and meditate and do all these things to make sure as we're diving into, posting on social media, doing whatever on YouTube, we're basically interacting with our phones to help humanity or help others who's, deep diving into their phones for, the toxic reasons, you know, having to keep reminding ourselves to not, look for the quick fix within our own experience and just keep the repetition of, you know, the healthy things that started the whole movement, and so, again, and that's that Mercury, Moon, Gemini, somewhat Sag energy, but not so much. You know what I'm saying? But I think like if you got like a lot of Gemini placements, or if you have like a Mercury, matter of fact, Mercury and Gemini would create that energy for sure, for sure. But it's like that energy of like just impatience or not following through on what you start. And again, that's the archetype of the trickster energy. You'll find in a lot of, a lot of Carl Jung material and just studies of, the different archetypes, that's one of the aspects of the trickster archetype, is to not follow through and finish things, you know what I'm saying? Because again, the messenger of God jumping into one world, sending a message, and then gotta go to this world and send a message. And again, Mercury also represents the transition in between seasons, you know what I'm saying? And you could also say it's, again, it's like that midpoint in between worlds, you know. So it's not fully grasping or fully following through in this world because it's about to go to the next season or the next world or the next cycle. You know what I'm saying? And you see how the mythology and the metaphysics of it all, goes into our experience and our everyday actions and stuff like that. But just that reminder, like not waiting until the quote unquote perfect time. Of course, you want to be as on point as you possibly can. You don't want to just, present anything and just throw out anything to anybody, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, also make sure that, if you've been in an analysis paralysis type of energy for the longest about, and it's subtly about waiting for the perfect time to do something, it's like that reminder of like, hey, start what right now. Now is the vibrate. What in my now moment can help me to get this done. You feel me? So, just something simple. Because I also just laughed at the fact of like if an animal is stuck in a trap, and let's say the trap is fear or the trap is stagnancy. So an animal stuck in a trap, like it got its legs stuck in a trap. Is that animal gonna be like, oh, well, I can't move. I can't move from out of this trap unless I do it perfectly, and do it perfectly because everybody's watching, people's watching, so I gotta get myself out of this dangerous trap perfectly, or not at all. I'ma just stay in this fearful trap. I'ma stay in this, this stagnancy, I'ma stay in this stagnancy or fear because, I gotta leave it perfectly. I gotta make it look good. I gotta get like a number 10 from the judges, you know what I'm saying, in order to leave from out of this trap or to, move beyond this fear. And it's like, no, you know what I'm saying? Like imperfect movement. And again, as the saying goes, slow motion is better than no motion. You feel me? And one of the keys with that, you know what I'm saying, which could possibly help, to, affirm or just be aware of, is to just keep track of the fact that you're being consistent. Not necessarily looking for big leaps and jumps all the time, but, the consistency. Like, are you being consistent? Then you won. You know what I'm saying? Like, any small increment of consistency builds up over time, and especially if it's done during a new moon cycle. You feel me? Speaking of the moon and cycles and Mercury and all that as well. You know what I'm saying? So, the repetition. Your attitude about things. What can you control in the situation in this now moment? Like, what do I have control over? All right, I got this, I got that. you know, oh, and then the thought pop up, but you ain't got no money to do it. Well, what can I do without the money? You feel me? Like, you know what I'm saying? Of course, we manifesting the funds, and we not trying to, be in a mind frame of having to move, what I'm saying, from a space of lack. And not to say that it's from a space of lack, but, or just like considering funds and stuff like that. But it's like, hey, like whatever you know what I'm saying? And again, like, reason why I just had to do this because it's just like the mind is like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, here it is, like 9 years later, you know what I'm saying, of doing this, and these types of things come back up. You feel me? And it's like, all right, and just seeing all the things that, in essence, like, come back up, and some things come back up stronger than others, depending on, you know what I'm saying, your karmic energies, and all that, ancestral, quote unquote, curses, or let's just say ancestral karmas. Like some things come up stronger to try to pull you back down into a fearful state or be that obstacle. But it's like, man, like, you started off of, you know what I'm saying, the imperfect movement, you know what I'm saying? So again, like the animal in a trap, you know what I'm saying? That's like, oh, I gotta be perfect. Well, it's just gonna be stuck in that trap if it's waiting for the perfect moment and to look perfect, you know what I'm saying? Again, it's not so much about, or not at all in essence about, like, looking perfect or being perfect. It's like doing the best that you can do, and more so, the perfection is you being your genuine, authentic self. You feel me? Like, that's what it's about. That's what it is. You feel me? So, just kind of coming in with that reminder to remember, you know what I'm saying, that basically, again, the majority of the growth, and y'all, apologies for some of the background noise, but again, I'm just, because even me doing this video, it's like, just stepping into it, you know, but majority of the growth is repetition of the basics, you feel me? Like, and it subtly, again, could start to shift because of that mentality or that subconscious programming of looking for that quick, the quick thing. And again, intuitively be aware of your unique situation. Because some things can be in a space where, maybe we procrastinated for so long that, and there's a difference between quick, like, so say for instance, some things are urgent for us to act upon, but urgency still don't mean move so quickly that you forget to, maintain a repetition of the healthy things that you're meant to, maintain, you know. But some things can be urgent, but again, urgent care don't mean move so fast or hastily, you know what I'm saying, or urgency could still be taken care of in a patient type of way. If it's an urgency to take care of your mental health, let's just say, you know, it ain't no snap. Even though it's an urgency, it's not no snap of the finger thing that's gonna shift your mental health all the way back in one day. If it's been, you know, dealing with stuff over years or however long, or something super traumatizing, it takes a moment, you know. So just bringing that in, you know what I'm saying? See somebody say like number 3, yeah, the number 3 energy, you feel me? But again, start somewhere. Slow motion is better than no motion. To not be like, oh, well, I'm not able to move perfect, so I'm gonna just keep myself in this trap. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, you know what I'm saying? Fuck that. Excuse my diction. And that's another thing, you know what I'm saying? Staying strong in our energies, you know what I'm saying? Setting those healthy boundaries, you know, because the shift is real, you know, making sure that we taking care of our internal alignment so that we could align with, you know, the community that resonates and aligns with us, you know what I'm saying? Because for the most part, you know, and I also got that message subtly, you know what I'm saying? Like, it made me laugh because somebody had mentioned it, and they don't even really talk about like deep esoteric stuff, but you know, it reminds me though of the, you know, like laughing a little bit, but the seriousness of, you know, tapping into our sovereignty internally and making sure that we're doing things to align with our, you know, soul fam that is on that same alignment of sovereignty. Because that's what I was gonna say. Like somebody brought up like the episode from Black Mirror, and the one that I always would bring up, you know, that Black Mirror episode where the currency became how many likes you have on social media, and also the subject matter. I'm gonna keep it all together. Also, the subject matter of vampirism came up, you know, and how cancel culture or anything that, you know, like the culture of putting somebody on a pedestal, in essence, to some extent, is vampirism, you know, and the slippery slope with, you know, how, you know, in some cases the things that we promote and enjoy, you know, in some cases, like, you know, not everybody in all situations, like in, you know, hip hop, or, you know, just certain things where it's like subtly, not, and again, this ain't everybody that's like, some people are genuinely like, you know, like appreciating the inspiration from certain beings, but then on other levels there's certain people trying to, you know, elevate somebody into this space, you know what I'm saying, just so they could be like an energetic, you know, meal in essence, you know, to be vamped off of, like once they transition and stuff like that, where people eat off of that energy, you know what I'm saying, after they transition. You know, hence why a lot of the brethren and sisters who transition may have, you know, had connections with, you know, like a little too deep in that game, so to speak, you know what I'm saying, of the Tupacs and Biggies, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, it's like that vampirism, you know, and not trying to be famous, you know what I'm saying? Because again, I look at the fact that, you know, I started with the videos just genuinely looking to help. Wasn't asking people to promote my videos. Even still to this day, I'm not big on like, hey man, tell people, you know, like, hey, share. The most I do is like, hey, you know, like, for the algorithm's sake, for the videos to be seen, you know what I'm saying? And if you do share something that really, truthfully, genuinely is impactful and helpful for you, and that you feel will be impactful for others. But, you know, it's just like not chasing the fame in essence and becoming that little meal for, you know, the vampiristic energy, you know. Because again, we all have a positive and negative, and here it is with some of these things raise people up as this, you know, perfect person, or, you know what I'm saying, like, hey, you know, basically like setting people up for the whole council thing. Because if everybody gave you that type of fame, then in essence they dictate, you know, taking it away from you too. But if you're not chasing that shit, then, you know, then nobody dictates, you know, like if you're not chasing external validation, then nobody could, you know, vamp your energy or do the whole like, hey, raise you up like you want to be raised. We raise you up, but then we also have the power to take you down, you know what I'm saying, and bring you back to zero, or basically, you know, just cancel out the energy. You feel me? So it's being aware of that and bringing that full circle back to the Black Mirror episode, where, because that goes with it, it's like, you know, how many likes or how many people approve of you. You know, the episode where chick go to a coffee shop, like, oh, let me see how many likes they got. Oh, they ain't got too many likes, I ain't gonna talk to them. You know what I'm saying? But basically, like the society getting to that type of, space in certain areas, so just making sure that, we're taking care of things to make sure that we don't even have to be a part of that type of, energy. You feel me? Again, like tapping in with, and you ain't got to be the main person, because we all may be looking to, like, where there's a bunch of chiefs on the reservation type of saying, but it's like, which I mean, again, we all want to be, independently into our own power, but it's like you don't have to be the person to, like, buy the plot of land and plan it all out for everybody in that sense of it. But it's like definitely like being aware of these things, because it is, something to, really, really take into consideration. You know what I'm saying? Again, it always been, but just making sure the distractions is not preventing us from, tapping into that energy. And then also at the same time, again, as much as we do, that's another thing with social media. It's cool to share things and stuff like that. But again, like if you're in the earliest stages of building on something, you may not want to share that with everybody. You may want to do that part behind the scenes. Because again, it's subtly, and that's where it get tricky, because we could be like, oh, I'm sharing to inspire others. But it's like, you know, it would be better to let the finished product, inspire others, what, instead of like, oh, well, I'm thinking about buying this property at such and such address, and, growing some tomatoes and corn. Like, you just pop up at that address with the tomatoes and corn already planted and be like, hey, because at that point ain't nobody gonna come and dig that up, and ain't nobody gonna come and, what I'm saying, like, you done put in, if you own the property, like, you don't put that much energy into it, that's stamped. You feel me? So it's just like being aware of that vibe, to to take care of those types of things, make sure we're on point. And again, if you got a hermit, a little bit hermit, I just posted something on Instagram where somebody was talking about, like how to get over certain trauma, and how some of the ways we look to get out of trauma is like, he was like, in essence, imagine that you got a drink and somebody pissed in it, and that's the trauma in essence. But instead of like taking the time to remove the piss from the drink, we more so just we taught in essence to just pour sugar in it. Meaning like, all right, I'ma just, drink a lot, eat this good food, go on a shopping spree, go do this and there and stimulate my senses, aka add sugar to the pissy drink, but not take the time to really actually remove the piss instead of just putting sugar in it. You feel me? But check out my story on Instagram. Watch that full video. Bro had me laughing the way he was explaining it, but you know what I'm saying? But he was just speaking to also like the stillness, like, can you sit by yourself? And again, it don't have to be that extreme. It depends on the level of trauma for you uniquely, or the level of how much you want to, not give in to coping mechanisms. And again, like, coping mechanisms come in different forms. You could go on social media as a coping mechanism. I know for me, that's why I had to set certain days for when I watch anime. It's like watching anime could be a coping mechanism. All these different things could be used as just like a little dopamine hit, you know what I'm saying, as a coping mechanism. So it's like, just being aware to remove, you know what I'm saying, the coping mechanisms in that way, you know what I'm saying, before I go into a whole little tangent on that. And peace to everybody in the chat. Hollow Smoke, Start Christ, it's Aisha, Raquel, what up, sis?
bringing the pressure with the music. Some give thanks across the pond, across the pond. I don't want to go into the whole British accent, but appreciate it. Excuse me, London to be exact, but you know what I'm saying. Chago Wilson, greatly appreciate you. I'm not on the extreme of the whole, that energy start to Christ, with the whole, I'm not here to judge or reclaim nothing. I mean, whatever it is to reclaim, it starts within, and you know what I'm saying. Like I don't, I get, in essence where you're coming from, but that's not my cup of tea. Let's just put it like that. You feel me? I'm not into the whole revengeful, you know, ownership. And I also always talked about this on my growth. If I am sourced on a human experience or this type of God, and source would be in essence like, the creator of a lot of things, then that would also mean I would have to act like an adult about it or be mature about it. And in certain ways that some of that type of rhetoric is kind of immature and toxic, almost like the Bible with y'all dollar bar, but aka God, saying, "Hey, I'm God, but I'm a jealous God." It's like, or like this is God, but he murked more people than the quote unquote devil in the Bible. It's like, what kind of God or Father is that? You feel me? But you know what I'm saying. But I get what I get it. Cause yeah, ultimately, I can't say that much. Being here to restore, in alignment with nature, because nature gonna do it on its own. That's the thing too. That's what I really want to say. Like nature does it. Nature gonna restore the balance. And me personally, I'm not here to judge nothing. You know what I'm saying? That's me though. You feel me? Other people might be connected with some other shit that deals with judgment. You know what I'm saying? Like nature is gonna restore balance. That's the only one of the true things that would be in some of those like little apocalyptic movies, which I don't give into that too much because they throw too much sideballs and bullshit in that. But like I think of The Happening, that's one that just kind of resonates where everybody just dropping. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what's happening? Oh, the trees are letting out a certain pheromone that does this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? It's like nature gon', restore balance. I'm not, you know, if anything, I'm doing whatever it takes to just make sure I'm lighthearted and removing toxic ancestral curses. But there's definitely a level of a energetic birthright. You know what I'm saying? As far as us and embracing our DNA and the source that we are on the human experience, but and that's what I was gonna say as well. And it also does come with helping the Earth tribe, aka indigenous beings of the planet. You feel me? You know, yes, that comes with it. It's just like a body. Like if I go into a physical body, you know, the cells and the cells that, let's just say, the cells in the body that help for the body to pick up on all the subtle energies and the basically the cells in the body that are the most important on picking up on the vibrations and the rhythms and staying in tune with the natural cycles and natural order of things. If those cells are out of order, then when I go into that body, yes, I want to restore those cells to their healthy state of being. You know what I'm saying? But again, me personally, because we all wired different mentally, no matter, I think sometimes we'll be like, this is how it is, and you need to say it and do it like this, and it's like, nah, we all wired different. Some people could, some people got different mind frames, just like how some people dealt with a past where they were so much of killers, where it's just better for them to be peaceful, knowing that the killer in them still exists, so that could show up whenever it's necessary, so they don't have to be on no rah-rah shit. Because for one, they ain't got nothing to necessarily prove, and they ain't got no, they don't have to use no rah-rah energy to make up for some insecurities or anything. They know what they are, what they've been, you know what I'm saying? So they growth is more about like just maintaining peace, because that's what they lack and what balances them out, while some people are so timid or passive that they may need to be more on a rah-rah vibe, because that's what helps them to balance out. But it's knowing, your balance in that whole situation, you know what I'm saying? But I digress. I just want to share about the imperfect movement and not waiting to the quote unquote perfect time, you know what I'm saying, to do certain things. And in some cases, again, it's easier to do it in certain areas more than others. But again, as long as you're making some form of a consistent step towards it, and you continue to maintain that consistency, it'll start to, change and shift. But most definitely, you feel me? But, yes. Imperfect movement. You know what I'm saying? Repetition of the basics. Because for myself, I feel like just in general, it's like, man, this is more so again like the mind. It's like, and that's also the thing too, is like, creating that wholeness, where, because that's where things could get tricky for some people too. It's like, and at least I'm looking at it from the ultimate truth of, not judging yin or yang. Hence why I kind of look more towards the Eastern philosophies, because they have a less of a duality, And shout out to Bridge of Ra for bringing that up about, when it comes to comic books and like anime, but more so like how Marvel kind of does like this duality thing, where it's never really about like balancing things out or doing the healthy shadow work type of energy. Is more so just like a constant beef, like they right, they wrong, clash, they right, they wrong, clash. They more so into the duality thing, you know what I'm saying, extreme, where DC Comics may actually show how to healthily face the challenge or the shadow and come to, some type of thing where it's not necessarily so extreme, like the moral or the end of the story, in essence, the end, because, some of these comics continue, of course, but, let's just say to that saga, it ends with, some type of realization or, something that's kind of like integrative, so to speak. And especially anime. Like anime always throws up the question of like, hey, this side could be wrong or right, or that side could be wrong or right. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course you have your preference of how you express your energy, but ultimately, it's like no judgment of what's, quote unquote, this is wrong, this is right. And that's where it kind of in essence goes into like what I was saying, like the lack of maturity type of vibe, of like moving beyond the duality of the situation, still understanding that yes, this realm deals with that dual nature, you know what I'm saying? But to not get lost in it because ultimately that causes split internally, you know what I'm saying? Where we like right or wrong, you know what I'm saying? Here it is where, you know, like speaking to like the getting land and, you know, growing things, also with the changing of funds. You know, here it is where, you know, we may not want to, you know, tap into cryptocurrency and NFTs when that could actually help you to like cash out on some shit. But it's because computers are all bad and the internet is all bad, so I'm not gonna do that, you know what I'm saying? Again, of course we give ourselves grace on our growth, you know, and you know, no judgment, to each his own, you know, because I done had my moments. I remember when that shit first came up and I was like, oh, just the computer thing in general. Like, it took me a second to kind of, like, when I first started my growth, I was just all about, like, just throw yourself on the way. You know, I don't even need to be doing these videos. It's just all going to wood, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, go through that energy, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, you know, not seeing, you know, any of it is all good or all bad, understanding it from a yin and yang perspective. You know, you got the feminine, you got the masculine, you know, and that's why again I'm into like the Tao, the Tao, you know, the Tao healing, doing the inner smile. Like again, instead of fighting against the archons, I'm actually smiling to the archons or smiling to Jupiter, aka smiling to my liver, smiling to my lungs, aka smiling to Venus, you know, smiling to my kidneys, aka smiling to Mercury energy within, you know what I'm saying? That works best for me, you know what I'm saying? Because again, if you got that type of mentality that just easily goes into the that's all wrong, that's all bad, and we notice like with so many distractions and being used to the internet and all that, you know, you could get distracted into going too far into those energies and stuff like that. So you know, it's just like, you know, deal with that awareness is the best way possible. But now it's to vibrate. I trust that y'all enjoying y'all Saturday, preparing for the new moon energy coming up right now. But that's it for the message. If you're looking to tune in with the jewelry, got the Etsy shop, or you can message me on Instagram. Any and all donations greatly appreciated. That's basically it. And I also have, again, remember that private Discord channel that I put up through Patreon. You know, because I realized like it's almost like a little digital book in essence that kind of just explains a lot of the stuff that I've been talking about over the years to kind of consolidate it, you know. And because of some things, it's just, you know, some things, again, it's all being shared. We're not hiding no truths, but then some truths are just better to be, you know, shared in a more close-knit type of, you know what I'm saying, way. But yeah, that's basically it. So imperfect motion, imperfect movement, slow motion better than no motion. Now is the vibrate, not too far in the future, not too far in the past. Right now. Peace, y'all.